RuneScape has always been about striving for insane milestones, powerful gear, and ridiculous wealth. But what if I told you you had to do it on an Ironman? Welcome to Unique Ironman, home of the game's most bold, legendary, and sometimes confusing accounts. Today, we're taking a look at 5 new mind-blowing builds, including one that I believe to be the greatest accomplishment in RuneScape of all time. I hope you enjoy. For those of you who've been watching for a while, you might remember Charlotte, aka Impling Only, from one of my previous episodes. Well, she's back with yet another crazy project. Star Miner is a free-to-play hardcore Ironman with the goal of getting 1 to 99 mining using shooting stars only. For anyone unfamiliar, shooting stars are an activity where a meteor can crash somewhere in the game world and then be mined for stardust. This dust can then be collected in exchange for rewards like a cosmetic prospector override, a ring used for mining, gems, and soft clay. As a shooting star locked hardcore, Charlotte had to constantly scout landing locations to figure out where these stars might have spawned, and then spend the time to mine the star to completion, which can take quite a bit of time. Because of how AFK this activity is, the XP isn't great. In fact, Star Miner was only averaging 5k XP an hour at lower levels, and only managed to get upwards of 12k XP per hour at upper levels. If the XP rates didn't make this grind slow enough, Charlotte also took the time to knock out as many beginner clues as possible, almost 1,300 of them in fact, which netted her rank 10 beginners for free-to-play hardcore Ironman. Things took a rough turn when Star Miner was flagged as a bot by Jagex anti-cheat detection, and Star Miner was permanently banned. Thankfully, Charlotte's a content creator, so she'd unlocked Jagex customer support, so with the help of some very kind J-mods, she was able to quash her false ban and get back to mining quickly. In the 1 to 99 journey, Star Miner collected an insane 1.5 million stardust, and along with 1,300 beginner clues I mentioned earlier, this was enough to collect an astounding 125 mil free-to-play bank, taking roughly 2,000 hours. The star mining journey isn't over though. Charlotte will be taking the account to the members worlds to try to complete 200 mil mining and the clue collection logs, all just from shooting stars. If that sounds interesting to you, I'll be leaving a link to her YouTube channel in the description below. Be sure to tell her that I sent you. You've seen range-only accounts in this series before, but today, let me introduce you to our first magic-only Ironman, ZarosIM. Zaros originally began his account as a defense peer with 50 magic after being inspired by Rendy's The Lower the Better series. When his goal of obtaining a fire cape with under 50 magic fizzled out, he decided to transition his account into a mage-only build. Why? Because his name was already Zaros, so it fit. Yeah. You can't make this up. As someone who plays an Ironman account myself, I know how much rune costs can add up over time. Even occasionally using them is expensive. As someone whose whole account was built around runes, I had to know how Zaros afforded the upkeep. His plan to generate money was to go chop 90,000 magic logs, fletch them into magic longbows, then alch them for the GP to pay for 99 construction. This took him over 1,100 hours and netted him 105 mil in cash, plenty for his goal of 99 construction. But as it turned out, Jagex released Mahogany Homes right as he finished that grind, cutting the cost of 99 construction down to about 60 mil. This would have saved him around 500 hours, but I'm sure he at least had fun, right? Construction grind aside, Firewave and a plain old Trident are Zaros' spells of choice. The Trident upkeep costs him around 500k per hour, pricey but reasonable compared to say a Sanguinesti staff. In his quest for acquiring mage gear, Zaros has managed to obtain Infinity, Swamp Bark, Blood Bark, Dagon High, and an imbued God Cape. This has enabled him to PVM, unlocking items like the Dragon Pickaxe, an Elder Maul from Chambers of Zarek, and even a Spirit Shield from Corp. He's also deep into his endgame, having achieved numerous 99s beyond just his mastery of magic, acquiring himself a total level of nearly 2,000, all without gaining a single attack, strength, or range level. While Zaros is locked out of much of the game's content due to his combat restrictions, he still has many future goals, such as obtaining a Tumikin Shadow from TOA, maxing his remaining non-combats to 99, 200 mil fire making XP at the Todd, and even taking on the Nightmare. Having already put over 10,000 hours into his account, I've no doubt he'll reach those goals. If you see him in game, be sure to say hi and wish him luck on his journey. Have you ever looked up an account on the high scores and said to yourself, what the f is even going on here? No? Well, let me introduce you to FeetPix. Take this high score page in for a minute and try to figure out what kind of account this is. 42 attack, 21 hit points, 1 defense, 45 prayer, and 99 slayer. I literally could not piece it together, so I asked the man himself. FeetPix was built with the goal of becoming the lowest level Ultimate Ironman with the Champion's Cape. Because this effort requires taking on tens of thousands of monsters to gather the necessary champion scrolls, keeping combat low during this process is very challenging. This led FeetPix to rush cannonballs, since cannoning gives range experience without hit points experience. Along this journey, he opted to get Prospector, the Varrock 1 top, and mining gloves for their mining perks. He snagged the mining pet at only 73 mining, and after over 1,000 hours and 99 mining, he'd accumulated a stack of 500k cannonballs for his champion's quest. Cannon damage scales according to range bonus though, and having none, FeetPix decided to grind out medium clues for the elusive ranger boots, finally getting them on clue 602. FeetPix began grinding and stockpiling champion scrolls, but after collecting 7 of the 10 required, he DC'd in a dangerous area, losing all of his hard-earned scrolls. After a bit of soul searching, FeetPix decided to continue onwards, recollecting his lost scrolls and finishing the others, finally obtaining the champion's cape at 57 combat. With this goal achieved, he set out on a new quest, 99 Slayer without increasing his combat level. To do this, he'd need many more cannonballs, but this time around, he chose to purchase his ore from the Blast Furnace shop. 500,000 cannonballs later, he found himself at 90 Slayer, having to then make another 600,000 before he eventually blasted his way to 99. Shockingly, the man was still not burnt out, and he set out to max all of his non-combat skills, for which he only has a few Herblore and Magic levels remaining today. Notably, he did 14 to 77 rune crafting in just 3 days' time at the Arceus library. He was then rewarded with the Rift Guardian pet from his first ever inventory of blood runes. After a long skilling binge, FeetPix decided to train his strength to 99 by Blast Furnace pumping for 1100 hours in order to avoid hit points experience. He's collected a plethora of pets along his journey, and has even managed to snag a pair of Ranger gloves from a lucky Impling, absolutely perfect for his account. So far, he's invested over 8,500 hours into his account. Longer term, he's considering unlocking Thralls so that he can engage in more PVM and knock out some 200 mil skills. I think this account perfectly embodies what this series is all about. FeetPix, you are an absolute legend, my friend. 1 defense pures are as old as RuneScape itself, and there's no shortage of them in Old School. What is unique though is an Ultimate Ironman pure, and they don't come much more impressive than Cats for runes. At just 90 combat, Cats has managed to achieve an impressive 2070 plus total level, with many virtual levels extending far beyond 99. And despite paper-thin defense bonuses and just 55 prayer, his account progression has largely been driven by raid supplies drops. You see, Cats is closing in on 2,000 Chambers KC, and with rewards like herbs, runes, ores, gems, and more, Raids 1 has proven to be a one-stop shop for this UIM. But it's not all happy supply gathering in this story. In 2K runs, Cats for Runes has still yet to get his hands on the elusive Twisted Bow, nor the Ancestral Robe Top. I think if I went that dry, I'd probably go clinically insane. I'm happy to report that Raids 3 has been treating him much more kindly, and in less than 150 KC, he's managed to acquire a Fang, Lightbearer, Masori Helm, and even the Shadow. Along with his other items, over 900 mil worth of them, Cats is unquestionably one of the most stacked UIM pures in the game. Thanks to a recent game update that now allows peers to return to Ape Atoll without receiving defense XP, Cats for Runes was able to complete Monkey Madness 1 and 2, earning himself access to the demonic gorilla catacombs. He managed to get himself 2 Zenites there and craft crafted them into some best-in-slot upgrades for his build. Cats for Runes is an absolute powerhouse, and join me in wishing him luck on getting a twisted bow sometime in the next decade. Before we get to the final account, if you're enjoying today's episode, please consider dropping a like and a sub for more original content in your sub box. Thank you. I am super excited to introduce today's final account, Praisefoot. Praisefoot is a maxed hardcore Ironman, currently sitting at rank 22, but that is just scratching the surface. Unlike most high-ranking hardcores that run from PVM, Praisefoot runs to it. In fact, he's managed nearly 1500 TOB KC, taken on hard mode for Theater of Blood and Tombs of a Masket, conquered Fasani's Nightmare, and he's ranked for every wilderness boss. While his bossing efforts have earned him a tremendous amount of respect, they've also served another purpose, acquiring the gear needed to take on the combat achievements. One such item that he needed was the Fang from TOA, and you could say he was pretty happy to get his hands on it.
No key! Good
No
luck,
way.
good luck, 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 good luck. No way, what a time to come back. Come on, show us the money, please. Yes! Yes! Let's go! Yes!
For the uninitiated, the combat achievements are a list of PVM-related tasks, separated into tiers which get more difficult as you progress through them. While the lower tiers require players to take on content like Obor and Bryophyta, the upper tiers boast incredibly difficult challenges like speedrunning the Inferno and perfect runs of Theater of Blood. After finding himself completing the Master tier of the combat achievements, Praisefoot knew that he had to take on the Grandmaster tasks and try to solidify his place in RuneScape history. Many of these tasks require extreme precision in already difficult content, presenting a unique challenge for hardcore Ironmen. For example, one Grandmaster task requires defeating Hydra using only a Darok's axe, while never having more than 10 HP. Traditional players can make attempt after attempt until they finally complete the task, but a failed attempt for a hardcore Ironman means almost certain death and loss of their coveted status. With an excessive amount of practice on his main account and nerves that I can only assume are made of rune, Praisefoot successfully completed this challenge. And while this one went smoothly, the Grandmaster tasks did bring some close calls like this one.
I'll run through. Oh, TP, Telly.
While plenty of these tasks were nerve-wracking enough on their own, Praisefoot felt that some were a bit too easy and needed to be made harder, like this Grandmaster Chambers of Xeric speedrun trio task that he completed while playing on 2 of the 3 accounts himself. No task proved to be too scary or too difficult for Praisefoot to take on, and on October 11th of 2022, he became the only hardcore to ever complete all of RuneScape's combat achievements. In my opinion, this is not only the greatest hardcore Ironman achievement, this is one of the greatest achievements in RuneScape history, period. Praisefoot told me that he will be taking on the TOA combat achievements, and if anyone can get those done on a hardcore, it's him. If you made it this far, please consider leaving a like and a sub, and if you like incredible hardcore Ironman achievements, check out this video about one of RuneScape's other greatest hardcores. Thanks for watching.